I'm Rita Kabeto. I grew up in Germany, but I've been in this country now 57 years. And I'm going to read to you something that says it all. There's only one life. It animates all material forms. This is a material form for life, therefore a life form. It animates all material forms that ever were, are, and will be, human, animal, plant, and element. When the form disintegrates, its molecules become part of a new life form. You are not your form, you are life. And life and consciousness are two sides of the same coin. Directed inwards, it's life. That's where we connect with life, with the spirit. Directed outward, it's consciousness. The Robert Frost, the poet Robert Frost, he wrote a poem about stopping by woods on a snowy evening, and I bet you all of you have heard it and know it. There is a verse about the horses stopping still and not going on, and he has many more miles to go, and there's always the question, what does he mean by that? Why does he say it twice? Well, here's my response to that poem. The poet Robert Frost revealed, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, and with these simple little phrases, he hinted at the sacred spaces where spruce and fir and hemlock guard, their branches meshed as if to bar intruders from encroaching far, the pregnant hush of their realm, when snow lies heavy on their boughs like burdens on the human brow, and holding breath they wait and bear the biting chill of winter's air, and guard within their hallowed midst what neither fox nor hare can miss, for deep inside that silent space awaits the self we yearn to face. And I firmly believe, well, I know, that it's in the silence, in the solitude. Meditation is where we learn to tune into the life, the one life that we're all part of. I have these three books are a trilogy of autobiographical fiction. This is the first one, the second, and the third. Now, they will all stand on their own, but the common thread that weaves through all of this is an awakening of the presence of spirit, the knowledge of the awakening of an understanding of what life is about and the path that one takes. And everybody takes a different path, and each life goes on in a different way, but yet all of it is just one life. In the foreword, I'd like to read that to you. Oftentimes during the early 1950s in post-war Germany, I had to hide under my bed to read the book my sister Paula didn't want me to have. Belly down, I would slide across the waxed and polished linoleum floor underneath my bed, keeping my head down to avoid catching my hair on the springs that support the mattress. Then I turn over on my back, pull up my knees, and lay them down sideways toward the wall to keep my big feet from giving me away. The heroine of Papa's Boy, which is the book I was reading, was a girl who lived at the end of the 19th century, whose mother had died in childbirth. Her father, not having any sons, allowed her to grow up like a boy until a maiden aunt convinced him that it was time to mold the boy into a girl. She was sent to boarding school in hopes of becoming a proper young lady, but instead she turned boarding life upside down with her untamed and uninhibited spirit. Around that time, my eldest sister Anna finished a 3-year business course in a boarding school in Venusbrunn, a small town amid wooded hills that provided lots of fresh air and healthy living. My parents had sent her because we were blessed with 9 children and not enough floor space for all the beds. Hanford, my hometown, was crowded with refugees from eastern regions and guest workers from southern European countries. It was littered with the shells of townhouses that were waiting to be rebuilt. gaping bomb craters, rubble piles we had turned into athletic hurdles on our way to the bakery or the swimming pool or the garden by the railroad tracks. My parents were planning to send another child. I had completed the required 7th grade, and Papa's boy had given me a taste of adventure and fun. Venusbrunn, that's where I wanted to go, that's where I wanted to be. But Spirit had its own agenda. You see what I'm saying? By going to this boarding school, and it was me, of course, I came into contact with certain vibes, I want to say. And it goes to all 3 of these books. The knowledge, the understanding, the sensation that there is something more than what we can see. Spirit. And there's an awakening of spirit, and it runs through all 3 of these. And when I say Spirit had its own agenda, I mean that Spirit was working. It was directing me. It didn't tell me why. But the knowledge that I wanted to go there, okay, because I wanted fun, that's just a side effect. I believe that Spirit was calling me to go there because I had experiences there. I grew up Catholic. Any Catholics here? Oh, then you know about Ash Wednesday. I once was a child with natural charm, human and hopeful, joyful and sad, instinctively trusting that omnipotent wisdom would order all things to greatest perfection. My body a vessel of senses that longed to know all of life, its infinite forms, to know and to treasure the self that I am, the bonds that connect me with people and land. A playmate was I to wind and rain, to sunshine and thunder, snow and hail. The sun never set on life's great adventures, its riddles and visions, heartaches and pleasures. Life is a potter at the wheel of time. His hands apply pressure. Meanwhile, a vessel is growing, evolving, refined by motion, pressure, and endless time. Ash Wednesday came and draped a shroud over my innocent days. I honored the law and became a sinner, temple of impotent spirit. Like ancient Greeks in fear of unpredictable gods, I lived to appease their appetites. To soften their wrath, I implored divine mercy. Walking the path became a course of obstacles for sorting sinners by degree, severity, and membership, all human, guilty, and bad. For guilty was I by brotherhood, long before I acted, and bereft of ordained divinity, I lost out to foolish darkness. But the divine spirit continued to glimmer faintly in the darkness. Sorrows and hardships turned me inward, and I saw the flickering flame. It grew with continued mindfulness, nurtured by desire, until its powerful light overwhelmed the oppression of foolish darkness. And the clay doth suffer the potter's hands, his fingers caress it with wise demand. They cradle and clutch it, squeeze and release it, add life-giving water to growing perfection. That's kind of how I see the process of life. Any questions?
That was well done. That really.
No, thank you.
Thank you. So your book, does it have your spiritual experiences that you had?
Pardon?
The book, you talked about having spiritual experiences. Does that tell of the spiritual experiences?
In the very last one, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it is the real thing.
Cool.
But I also write other poetry, simple things like ants, marching and crawling, indifferent, efficient. They hurry and scurry and move in precision, removing the mortar from concrete foundations, one grain at a time. They work without resting. They hustle and bustle to loosen what's fastened and causing to crumble what meant to be lasting. Those tiny marauders, the agents of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.